It is 5 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting of the Belton Independent District School District Board of Trustees to order. A quorum of board members is present. This meeting has been duly called, and a notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer or meditation, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and honors to the Texas flag. Please join me in honors to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to be Texas, one state of God, one and indivisible. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to the next item on your agenda says that the board would be going into closed session. It is the pleasure of the board that we will not be going into closed session. We'll move on to public comments. Ms. Burns, is there anyone signed up for public comments? Then we'll just move right on into the delinquent tax collection report. And as you all are approaching the podium, if you'll speak directly into the microphone so that we can capture your comments electronically.
Oh, you want me to do this? Am I supposed to do this? How do we do it?
This one.
Okay. I can probably do it then. Here you go. Good evening. I'm Harvey Allen with the law firm McCurry, Veselka, Bragg & Allen. Our law firm represents the Tax Appraisal District of Bell County. The Tax Appraisal District of Bell County collects taxes for all the tax units here in Bell County. We serve several functions for the Tax Appraisal District of Bell County. I'm to talk to you about tax collections. The report is entitled Report on Delinquent Tax Collections, but in fact, it's a report on tax collections, period, because the job that the Tax Appraisal District of Bell County does in collecting your current taxes is absolutely as important, perhaps even more so, than the delinquent tax collections. I'm starting on what is marked as chart number 1, and that is the total revenue from tax collections. And I think this is always the most important chart that is in any tax collection report, because it in fact reflects the revenue which the board and administration have with which to operate the school district. And as you can see from the chart at the bottom, for each of the last 4 fiscal years, the Belton Independent School District has received over 100% of its adjusted tax levy. You say, well, Harvey, how is that possible? Well, you take the current tax collections, you take the delinquent tax collections during that fiscal year, you add the penalties and interest on those taxes, and you get the total revenue, and then you divide that by the adjusted tax levy, and you get the percentage. Well, why the adjusted tax levy versus the original tax levy? The adjusted tax levy is actually the taxes that were actually out there to be collected. Subsequent to the district setting its tax rate based upon the certified value from the appraisal district, certain things happen to the to the tax roll, which have the result usually of reducing the actual amount of taxes out there to be collected. And that's the reason I use the adjusted tax levy, because that was actually what was out there to be collected. So, good news there, and I think it's been a long time since the Belton Independent School District has received less than 100% of its adjusted tax levy. Well, any questions from anyone on chart number 1? Chris is shaking his head because he's heard this before. By the way, we miss you. Chris was the Belton ISD and City of Belton's appointee to the Tax Appraisal of Bell County Board of Directors for 1 term. If we go to the chart number 2, and that deals with the tax collection of each of the last 5 years, I apologize, of taxes levied by the Belton ISD. Now, this chart reflects just taxes for that particular tax year and does not include any delinquent tax does not include any penalty and interest. It does include delinquent taxes plus current taxes through December 31 of 2019. As you can see, for the 2018 tax year, you've collected 99.21% of the levy, and you go down to 2014, you're at 99.76%, and they're in between. So you're collecting a very high percentage of your tax levy for each year. Any question on chart number 2? Now, obviously, when you go over to chart number 3, you will see that of the, let's see, for 2018, the adjusted levy is $49 million, and only $777,000 of that actually was delinquent on July 1st of the first year of delinquency. So chart number 3 represents the work of my firm, McCurry, Vassalka, Bragg & Allen, to collect the delinquent taxes that were due to the Belton ISD. And for the 2018 year, again, there's $777,000 that went delinquent, or was delinquent, I should say, on July 1st of 2019. As of December 31, 19, there was $390,000, or 50% had been collected. You go all the way down to 2014 tax, and you can see at that point, 87.29% of the taxes for 2014 have been, delinquent taxes have been collected. And let's see, if you go back over to chart number 2, you collected 99.7%, 76% of that levy. So, are there any questions on chart number 3? Well, chart numbers 1, 2, and 3 give you a thumbnail sketch of tax collections, both current and delinquent. And I think the numbers speak for themselves. The Belton ISD has had a really good tax collection history over the last 5 years. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and I hope that the district has benefited certainly from that. The second half of the report is a statistical summary of those collection activities that were initiated on behalf of the Belton ISD. It gives you the number of letters filed, suits filed, judgments taken, and, sorry, I forgot to put the clicker. Finally, what you're looking at now is the number of sales that were held on properties located within Belton ISD. Since July 1 of 2017, we have posted 187 pieces of property for sale. 65 of those were paid prior to the being paid, actually having been auctioned off. 117 were in fact sold to third parties. Most of those 117s were vacant, abandoned properties, airship type things, etc., where no one had paid taxes on those things for a number of years. And so, you know, it doesn't really, frankly, amount to a lot of revenue, but hopefully going forward, those individuals will improve those properties and pay taxes on them in the future. Any questions on, again, I'm not going to go through the statistical stuff. I just wanted you to see that the ultimate remedy here we have is shown on the tax sales. Again, that is the ultimate remedy. Prior to us ever getting there, we've sent out notice of delinquency. We've filed suit. We've had individuals served. We've taken judgments and then ultimately get sales. At any point during that process, individuals come in and want installment payment agreements because they can't pay the full balance. We always work with the property owners. The last thing we want to do is for them to appear on this chart right here. But sometimes it is, in fact, necessary. Again, any questions on anything that we do, any activities in which we engage on behalf of the Belton ISD?
I don't have a question. I do have a comment. Just want to thank you and your office for all the hard work that you all do on our behalf and to our benefit, because certainly you do that for free, and we appreciate that and recognize that.
You're talking about how we get paid? Yeah, well, you're right. The delinquent property owners from whom we collect pay our fee, and so our services, all the services that we actually render to the tax appraisers of Bell County are paid for by the delinquent property owner, so they don't cost the Belton ISD in your budget anything, or the tax appraiser of Bell County, which of course is funded by the tax units of Bell County. Thank you very much
Thank
for bringing
you.
that to my
Manuel, you had a
attention.
question?
No, you just answered my question.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Anyone else? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and present this to you very briefly. I have essentially 3 full-time folks right across the street over there working. If you need to visit with me, probably the best place is to contact one of them. My lead legal assistant is Leslie Harrell, and I think can always raise me if we can ever do anything for you. If you have any questions about what we're doing, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda, we've got Jared. He's going to update us on the construction projects.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So we're really excited, again, to be presenting here for the bond project construction update. And I'd say as we move forward in both projects, it's a really exciting time because those final touches are starting to appear on the project. And as we look through the life of a project, it's of course exciting for groundbreaking, exciting to see steel come up. But as you'll see here, there are a lot of the imagery that are coming to life of the campus. So these are the images that you saw last time of the building to start taking shape. And as we've talked, this is a time actually when the contractors, I'll say, slowing down or tapering down in terms of work effort along the way. So Lake Belton High School is at 85% complete. So they should be a little bit beyond that point at this time. And so these are the finishes, or these are the things that you're seeing come to life at this point. So as we've talked through the history of the project, they actually started on the 2 ends. One of those ends being the auditorium, and it's one of the more complex areas, but this one is starting to take shape with finishes, and all those details are starting to come to life within the design. So you'll see this one, the kind of top 2 photographs are the auditorium in the seated auditorium, and the bottom 2 are the black box classroom and the black box itself, which are adjacent. So you're starting to see the catwalks come into shape, the clouds. Here pretty soon we'll start seeing the seating come into play as well. As we start walking around the building, you'll see that in the gymnasium they're starting to install the flooring, and the walls and colors are starting to take shape in those spaces, so it's starting to feel like a finished and occupied facility in those areas. And as well as we move into the commons, you're seeing casework starting to come into play, not only in the science rooms, but then those features that you see on the top right where students can literally perch, kind of work on their computer, have some lunch, and kind of be a part of the crowd, but a little bit distant. That center of the building where it's actually knitting the 2 halves together is starting to come to life as well. Outside the facility, they're starting to install turf, so as you look out, you'll start seeing those elements. And then you're starting to see those final touches. We were really excited, actually, the bottom left photograph of it was a buzz around the office about the copper finally got installed, because we debated long and hard about what color that needed to be very specifically, and ultimately landed on this one, and we think it looks great. You're also starting to see some of the details in the top left photograph. It's a little bit in the shadow, but you see pride and community, where our interiors team worked with Jill and her staff to started identifying those trademarks that become Lake Belton High School and the Broncos, and how that moves forward in terms of the design. So that's the facility in short, and we again have no change orders to report at this time. So that project is continuing along, still targeting the July timeframe. We're working with furniture to get that in place to make a smooth transition to a school starting here in the fall of 2020. So exciting time. Any questions on the high school? Great, or I guess Lake Belton High School to be specific, because then there's, of course, then Belton High School, the orchestra edition. So again, very similar in terms of everything that's been happening. Last time we started seeing the finished materials and it's starting to feel like a campus, or the campus entry. And as we look at this time, those finishing details are starting to come in. Top left photograph is starting to do the infill within that courtyard. And you'll see in the back there's a little bit of wet concrete. They're going to actually start placing the B logo and some of the words that represent Belton High School campus there as well. And then the entry, the bottom two photographs, are that new front door and entry statement that are starting to come to life with the masonry in place. We'll start seeing the metal panel go up and really keystone that front entry to make a similar statement for Belton High School as Lake Belton High School is receiving. And then, of course, inside the building, they're getting all the ductwork and finishes in place for this one. The Belton High School Orchestra Edition is at 55% complete. They're a little bit further along. They're a little slower in billing us, which is just fine. And we'll hold on to the money more than they wanted, so we're okay with that. And then we'll hopefully see this one wrap up here in the next couple months. So we're starting to discuss and prepare for the summer of '20 work, which will be the renovation of the band hall, that edge and fringe, and be able to roll through final completion on that one. So any questions on Belton High School? Absolutely, thank you.
From our very own Manuel Alcocer.
Okay, we had discussed essentially two areas. One, we went over the requirements of Senate Bill 11, which was Governor Abbott's response to the active shootings, including the shooting over in Santa Fe. There are some things in Senate Bill 11 that don't necessarily apply to us. It applies to some districts, I believe, 30,000 students or more. But I will tell you that Mike Morgan came and presented some things to us today. He's going to talk to us a little bit about some of these things later on this evening. And I just want to talk about a few things that we discussed that are going on here in our district that is response to Senate Bill 11. If you look at the minutes from our meeting, the implementation of the requirements of Senate Bill 11 have to be in place by August of 2020. One thing I do want to mention in terms of training for us, there's three areas that we're going to have to receive training in. One is, of course, cybersecurity, which has been mentioned before. Another is sexual assault. And then the third one is human trafficking. Those three areas we're going to have some additional training, and I'm assuming it's going to be sometime this summer. I'd asked Robin about that, and she assumed that it was going to be sometime this summer. So look forward to those three items that you'll have to address in your SLI. There are things that were added by the bill that have been implemented here, and that's the following: threat assessment. And what I found interesting from threat assessment is that every campus has to have something like this in place. There's a team, there's a committee that's put in place at every campus to address threat assessment. And I asked Mike, I said, well, you know, what are we talking about? Basically what we're talking about is identifying something before you allow it to happen, okay? You get ahead of the 8-ball and the curveball and try to implement something to prevent things from taking place. The next thing is parental involvement. As far as parental involvement, what I took from that was letting parents know the risk that's out there, and if something does happen, being able to communicate with them about that. Mental health support. Rosie had some comments about that during our meeting. Safety planning, for example, doing drills on campuses. Then security personnel, training for our SROs. Some of that is a lot more expansive in some districts that are much larger than us, but we do have some requirements that we have to address as well. And there are 5 phases of emergency management that are affected that we're addressing here. One is prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And when you have an emergency plan, each plan is designed or has to be designed to address all 5 phases. Personnel, not just teachers and administrators, but even substitute teachers are now involved and have to have some training. All classrooms need to have some access to some type of communication device. So if something happens in the district, then every classroom in the district is going to be able to know what's going on. One of the things that I'll jump to is in line with that, we need to have a standardized response protocol. What does that mean? What that means is that we're all on the same page. If something happens, everybody knows what to do. Everybody knows, where they're supposed to go. Everybody knows how they're going to be communicated with, which I thought was consistent with what the Senate Bill 11 is requiring. In terms of training that we're providing here at the district, of course, we're providing the CRAZE active shooter training, which is a civilian response to an active shooter event. Stop the Bleed, I know we had some training about that. We discussed it in one of our meetings. And then again, the standardized response protocol, CPR, and basic first aid. Those are all of the trainings that the district is currently providing, which is a lot. Another thing that I took away from it is that the stuff that Mike has been doing is very comprehensive, and I think staff and students need to know that we're committed to doing everything we can to make sure that our students are safe and that our staff is safe. And everything that Mike is doing, I think, is in line with that. The other thing that we discussed is we had an opportunity to discuss since we had some board member elections, we're going to come up. I don't think that Ty or Janet are opposed at this time, but one of the things that we discussed was the campaign ethics, more importantly, political advertising, which is basically you can't have a employee or officer of the district spend funds or use resources to, support a candidate or go against a candidate. That also includes a nepotism policy. In other words, you can't come in and say, well, if you're not gonna support this person, then you're not gonna have your job, that kind of thing. So we can't have those kinds of things obviously going on. The other thing that's gonna happen is with the new, since this is a census year, our boundaries may change a little bit for all of us, except the at-large, of course. But for the 5 of us that are single-member districts, when the census comes out, the lines may need to be drawn a little bit differently to include other populace that wasn't included initially in whatever district that you're in. But we won't know that until the census comes out. Actually had a very short but productive meeting. I don't think that there was anything else that was that jumped out at us in terms of the legal policies that we looked at. We do plan on looking, and I had talked to Robin about this, looking at different parts of our policies and procedures as we move forward. I think that for all the board members, if there's something that we're working on, or if there's something going on in the district that we need to look at a little bit more closely, and I think that any of us know that you can put that on the agenda, and then we can take a better look at it so that we have a good grasp on the policy that's affecting something that we're doing in the district. But other than that, I don't think there was anything else that we needed to discuss. I know Robin had asked Pete Ramirez to look into the cybersecurity policy, which is something that's going to come up, I think, next month. Is that right, Robin? And then Pete looked into that, and then the stuff that we have in place now, he feels like it's in line with what the law requires in terms of our cybersecurity requirements. Rosie, anything else about that? Chris, any comments about that?
Pretty well.
Okay. I think that's it.
Thank you, Manuel. You got a lot of good information out of that short meeting. Really appreciate you sharing that with us. The next item on our agenda would be Facilities Committee report by Mr. Ty Taggart.
All right, well, really the only thing I have to report in this meeting is how important the
next meeting for us is going to be on Wednesday. There's a lot of stuff on the agenda, some big ticket items. I know we're kind of taking a deep breath after what we've just been through, but we've still got kids coming. We've still got to keep up with these facilities. And so we've got a really heavy agenda for Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So that's really all I have. Next meeting that we all come together, I'll have a lot of information about some of the topics that we're looking at and some of the things we're covering.
Okay, thank you, Ty. Really appreciate that. Our next item is recognitions, but we're not ready for that just yet. I do want to say this, though. We were blessed as a board to receive some thank yous from some of our students. Some of the thank yous are over here on the side. The largest one with the bling is mine. Some kinders got that for me, and I'm so appreciative of the Tarver Kinders. They did some really special work. In fact, I'm going to walk over and just kind of open it and show it to you. Hold on. I guess they figured out I like bling. So there is the front. How cool is I can see that hanging in the window. Yeah, a lot of cool things. So what we will do is move over to a consent agenda while we're waiting to start the other formal recognitions. Does any member of the board have any item they wish to pull from the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? We have a motion from Dr. Montgomery. Is there a second? Ms. Lee, all in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. And if it's okay, can we just move on over to superintendent's report? Thank you.
For superintendent's report, is this on? Again, we want to congratulate Dr. Montgomery. She will be honored at the Central Texas Baylor Club 26th Annual Scholarship Brunch this coming Saturday. And again, you represent us beautifully, and thank you. You do it with class. Appreciate you. Facilities Committee meeting reminder, again, as Ty said, this coming Wednesday, huge meeting, 4 o'clock, that will end up with a tour of the old gymnasium and the old administration building off of 6th Street. So that will be a full docket. Anticipate at least 2 hours, and it may go over on this one. Policy Committee follow-up. Manuel went through all that. I'm not going to go through that again. Jill Ross will present information on fight song and everything at the March board meeting, so that will be an exciting board meeting. And Dr. Smith, that will be your first one, so they can sing to you. For Leadership Belton, here are some pictures of that day last Friday. I want to thank the Communications Department for putting that on. Jill, you did a great job of briefing them on Lake Belton High School. And we thank the students from South Belton Middle School for giving the tours to our auspicious guests. One-on-one Technology Initiative. Underneath your consent agenda, you just approved several items, and they look so simple, but they took so long to put this together. Jennifer's over there smiling. Again, thank you to Jennifer. Thank you to all the assistant superintendents, Deanna and Todd and Mike and Dr. Muller, and our technology department, Daryl Shipper, for putting together a technology initiative. There are several things that you approved tonight, and I won't go through all that in detail, but we are making the shift from a mixed platform school district to a Chromebook school district. The reason for that, and Chris asked some great questions today, it is much more difficult to sustain multiple platforms in a school district, and we just do not have a large enough department to do that. We have had computers that have been donated. We've had computers that have been purchased by other entities. We've bought some of our own, and we have all types of machines out there. So what will happen with the advent of your approval tonight is we will begin on a rotation cycle for all of our campuses, for all the middle schools. Obviously, the 2 high schools will have refreshes this summer. Rotation cycle for all the teachers' computers. And so this will really get us going for forever on our computers, so real pleased. Although it wasn't part of your approval tonight, printers come into play on this one too. We have talked about this with our campus principals. We have a lot of printers. We have a lot of baby printers on every desk in the school district, and so we'll be slowly migrating towards a more systemic way of printing in the school district, and that won't happen quickly, but it will happen over time. The other really, really cool part of this one is for incoming freshmen, incoming ninth graders, if they take care of their machines and if they have good attendance in school when they graduate, because those machines will be fully depreciated, then they will be able to take their computers with them. And so we hope to not just take care of them in high school, but to take care of them as they graduate and they go into the world beyond. So great, very, very proud of staff for doing that. Again, it involved a lot of people.
Super cool.
Super cool. That's a good way. SC, super cool. Human resources, teacher incentive allotment. Dr. Smith will be briefing you on this over the next few months, and the reason I give it to him is because we don't know. This was a TEA, he's smiling back there. This is a TEA initiative, and I give TA a lot of credit. We talked about this today. They are really rolling out some very innovative programs, and I like that. It's frustrating when you don't quite know what to do with those programs and they're trying to figure out how to do that. But we need to bear in mind that they're coming right off of a legislative session. It's approved one day and they're supposed to implement the next day. So there isn't a lot of planning that can go into that prior to the implementation. So the teacher incentive allotment is one of those, and as information comes forward, Belton ISD along with other ISDs will determine how far you want to go into the weeds on that one. It has great potential in providing additional salary support to select teachers. The trouble comes with sustainability of that. Jennifer's back there smiling again. And then consistency among school districts. This was a Dallas ISD model. It's very different in implementing a program in one school district and implementing it in 1,078 school districts across Texas. And so much, much more to come on that one. Middle school swim program. No, I have to come back to this one. This was so cool. Paraprofessional training. Thank you, HR department, and thank you, the paraprofessionals, for the Belton Independent School District. Actually, I was asked today by the Temple Daily Telegram what one of the high points was, and it was this. Anna Roos, back in December, the Beef asked me to pull together our paraprofessionals that were going to get scholarships for this year. I did, and I asked them, because I was waiting for the Beef to get there, can you tell me things that we can do to help you more? It led to this huge discussion. And so out of that discussion came really our first paraprofessional to teacher training today. It was at the Lord Conference Center at UMHB. They've been a wonderful partner to us. To give you an idea, we invited about 175 people today. About 150 showed up. And we have 200 teacher vacancies projected for next year. So if we can grow some of our paraprofessionals into teachers, think what that will do as filling that hole. And there is a financial incentive to do that, both currently and for the future. And I think for BISD, that has tremendous potential over time. And Calvin, again, and Todd, y'all have just done great. You've done it with heart. For facilities and finance, nice problem to have, but we have so many kids in the swim program that we're going to need to do tryouts because we only have so much space. It also allows students that may not be super interested in it to go into something else. And so I think it allows students an opportunity to try other things if that's not really their thing, because you have to be really committed with swim because it takes a lot of practice, as Dr. Montgomery would know. We will be putting 2 double portables at Chisholm Trail. I don't like that, but we are out of room. And if we don't do that, then we're going to have to be moving students all over the school district, and that's not right for our kids. We just did a major rezoning. We need to keep them in their attendance zones for everything that we can do. I think that will get you through the next 2 to 3 years, and then you can determine what you need to do to add capacity to our classrooms. Don't forget, we have a retreat that is set up in May. I think Connie has set that up. That will be the first of many retreats that you had said that you were interested in for next year. Dr. Smith will be working with you on that. And this one will be Ms. Land at her best. Instead of giving little snippets of budgets all year long, this will be a time for you to get finance one-on-one in one setting. And I think you'll enjoy it, and you will learn so much. And she's just great, and her whole department is. And then underneath student services, we are looking at busing options because with 2 high schools, that changes things. And so you'll be getting more information on that over the spring. And then the renewal transfer letters went out last week, and so we're getting a few calls on that. But again, because Mike and his department and Stacy did such a good job of that, pretty nominal considering what that could be. So parents were very, very well informed, and we are sticking to what you approved and what we've been talking about in policy committee. I mean, we're sticking to it down the line. So, that's my report.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions or comments? Nope? Okay. So, since we're still not ready, we will go on down to Mr. Schiller and his report.
Well, good evening. Tonight I do have one recommendation for you. It is for Assistant Principal at Lakewood Elementary. It is Ashley Thomas. Ashley comes to us with the University of Texas Arlington master's degree and a bachelor's degree from there, and has 7 years in education, and comes to us from Ector County ISD in Odessa, Texas, where she served as an elementary teacher. And I'll ask her to come up here in just a few minutes after y'all vote on her.
Okay, awesome. Does the board have any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve as recommended? Mr. Norwood, is there a second? Mr. Taggart, all in favor, please raise your hand. That passes.
Okay. We'll have
Come
her
on
up,
down.
Ashley. We'll take a few pictures.
Board, do you all want to step down and we'll take a quick picture with this young lady? We're going to step down and take a quick picture. Okay. I don't believe we're still ready for recognition, so I'm hanging on there. We're going to go on down to Mike Morgan. It's going to be awesome. Save all the fun stuff toward the end. All of it's fun.
Well,
Just
safety and
in case I'm
security can
quoted,
be fun
everything's fun.
too, I think.
You're fine.
So,
You're fine. It's all fun. It's all fun. It really is. Go ahead, Mike.
it's a pleasure to get to speak with y'all tonight and give you our 2020 update on our safety and security program. Last year's presentation, looking back on it, it was well done, and it basically focused on the different elements of school security, and it focused on facilities and devices, partnerships, communication, training, and students. And so it seemed appropriate this year to expand on that. And as we've had these elements in place, and as we've been working through those with our restructure, kind of where we are right now and where we are with our program and the initiatives that we've undertaken, and an update for y'all on a lot of different areas and things we're working on. I think it would only be appropriate. I'm the messenger in this, but there's a lot of people that are putting in the hard work. We have Doug Taylor and Pete Ramirez who work every day, come to work and work for the safety and security of our students and for the support of our staff as they prepare to take on these initiatives that I'm going to talk about tonight. Stacy Saveska in our Student Services Department, all of our campus administrators and their staff, from teachers and support staff and security guards and everyone else that is involved, and our campus our school resource officers, our SROs, and their involvement in this as well. But they all put in a lot of hard work, and they all do a lot to help with our school safety and security program. The first slide is one that I really thought was kind of interesting. It's a true collaboration when you talk about safety and security. This is not something that we're going alone. We first and foremost, all of our work involves collaboration of some type. We share resources at the local level, county, regional, state, and national level to assist in all aspects of our safety and security. This illustration shows just a few of the many and vital and essential partners we have as we design and implement our safety and security plan. Emergency operation planning, that's a big thing for us. It requires a lot of work from our campus staffs. We are required by law to create and update annually emergency operations procedures, as well as plan for each campus and facility. Our EOPs must include, as Manuel spoke earlier, the 5 phases of emergency management, which are mitigation, prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery. The EOP must also address how all employees and substitute teachers and students will be trained in the implementation of that plan. And then all campuses' plans must also include the specifics for that campus, meaning if there's portable buildings on that campus, then the EOP has to provide the information on how you're going to prepare for an emergency and train and drill for those. If your campus is near railroad tracks, you have to have a plan for if a train derails or there's hazardous materials in the area, what you would do in those types of situations. And then I briefly mentioned the 86th legislative session, which passed Senate Bill 11, the most comprehensive Texas school safety bill ever passed into law, and it addressed elements of the governor's school safety action plan as well as recommendations from the House and Senate on school safety items. Behavioral threat assessment is a huge part of a component of the Senate Bill 11 requirements that each district must create a district level and campus level behavioral threat assessment teams. The behavioral threat assessment teams calls for a systematic and coordinated multi-tiered support system that allows for multi-agency collaboration to assess risks and threats in schools and provide appropriate interventions. And I think the key phrase to that whole statement that came directly from the Senate Bill 11 legislation are interventions. We're trying to find threats to our campus, threats to our students, and threats where students may harm themselves and intervene before those actually become a reality, and get that student the support and the help they need where they're no longer a threat. We have trained over 150 staff members, from administrators, counselors, health services staff, school resource officers, and special programs personnel to assist in serving on these teams. And the number one goal of the behavioral threat assessment is to intervene in keeping students safe and get the support they need. We recently met after our initial trainings and began our implementation phase to get all of our teams throughout the district on board and ready to go. District planning. One of the best things we do is our BISD district safety committees. We meet, and we're doing very important work in collaboration with throughout our district and with many of the organizations which were listed on the first slide. We have interactive presentations and tabletop exercises, and some of the things we've worked on so far this year are evacuation and fire safety, traumatic injury protocol and bleeding control stations, domestic minor sex trafficking, and behavioral threat assessment teams. We still have 4 meetings left this year, and we have a lot of great things that we want to cover and a lot of great work to do with our community members involved. Each campus also has a safety and security committee who works through individual campus needs, individual campus safety and security issues, provides after actions on drills and incidents, and designs appropriate responses to meet their campus needs and follow their EOP. Cooperative planning. We do a lot of planning with our school resource officers and with local law enforcement. We meet monthly with our school resource officers and their supervisors as well. And then we meet bi-monthly with Belton and Temple Police Department's leadership to solidify our communication and response. This is probably one of our most important relationships, and we take this very seriously, and we want to continue to grow and work together to meet the needs of our students. Assessment. For the past 14 months, we've been working through assessments on our campus and facilities to designate where we feel that we have great infrastructure and areas where we feel like we need to improve. By way of safety and security, budget, board-approved capital improvement plans, and state and federal grants, we've been able to make improvements where needed and plan to do even more this spring. Areas included in this assessment and improvement plan include campus lighting, security cameras, perimeter fencing, interior door locking systems, and communication systems to include telephones and two-way intercoms. Training. We provide a wide array of mandated and best practice training for all of our staff. As a result of Senate Bill 11, substitute teachers are now required to receive the same emergency training as our full-time staff. And we spoke with the committee about some of the challenges that brings about, because your substitute teachers who start the year aren't necessarily your substitute teachers who end the year. So oftentimes we're trying to catch those and make sure that when we have days like today, when we have in-service days and we can bring those guys up, that we have kind of a continued response to make sure we complete training on new employees as well as substitute teachers. Student safety drills. Students and campuses participate in both routine, announced, and unannounced drills and exercises. Each drill is followed by a campus after action to evaluate aspects of performance and look for improvements. BISD is now in year 2 of using the standard response protocol as our basis for appropriate response to emergency situations. It was created by the I Love You Guys Foundation. The SRP has been implemented by over 30,000 schools, agencies, and organizations across the United States and Canada. And one of the beauties of the emergency response protocol is it uses the same language. So every campus and most school districts now use the exact same response in the event of a drill or in the event of a real emergency situation. And we're going to continue to expand with this program and do the good work that organization has started. Evaluation. This is an important year for us in safety and security because it is a school safety and security audit year. Section 37.108 says at least once every 3 years, each school district shall conduct a safety and security audit of the district's facilities. To the extent possible, a district shall follow safety and security audit procedures developed by the Texas School Safety Center. We have begun our audit process, and we will be bringing that information to our District Safety and Security Committee later this spring, and we'll be bringing the findings of that audit to you over the summer before we submit in September. So we're really looking forward to that, to do an honest self-assessment and evaluation and see where we are. This is a really cool program that we've initiated this year, and we're calling it BISD Meals for Shields. And so we've begun this program that allows and encourages law enforcement an opportunity to eat for free at our BISD campus cafeterias and at all events where concessions are sold. This is not only a great way to further build and strengthen our individual relationships with our local law enforcement partners, but it's also a way for us to fulfill legislative requirements to find means to increase law enforcement presence on our campuses. We're excited to have all members of our local law enforcement as our guests on our campuses, and we want them there at all times. Reporting. I know that a lot of time was spent last year talking about the anonymous alerts reporting system that we initiated. This is our second year of using anonymous alerts. It empowers students to help themselves and others by reporting sensitive issues quickly while establishing an anonymous two-way communications with school administrators. Using the mobile app, students can attach a photo, social media screenshot, or video with their text descriptions. Anonymous alerts is another layer of communication and trying to use intervention as a means to keep our campuses and students safe. And we're also thankful to those who use this tool and come forward with legitimate concerns for student safety. We have several areas of prevention. Some of these are continuations of further programs. Some are new programs. But we've taken several initiatives to help prevent unwanted and unsafe behavior. We're installing 30 Halo smart sensors at the BHS and BHS 9 campuses. The Halo sensors can detect and alert abnormal noise levels, air quality, including vape, THC, and smoke, chemical detection, light detection, and tampering. Using data from this pilot program, we will evaluate installing at all BISD secondary campuses in the near future. And just a general update, just this afternoon, 24 of the 30 sensors are installed at the high school campus. As soon as the final 6 are installed, we should be able to configure and be up and running. So we're really excited about that for no other reason than to give our kids another reason to say no to those types of behaviors. We also are using InterQuest as our source for detection dogs, and we contract to have them on our campuses as often as possible and also in our parking lots periodically. Principals are using information on safety and security in their weekly newsletters to parents and staff. The district, we have also sent out informational letters to parents in direct response to the vaping crisis facing our youth. And then we've also included safety presentations alone and in conjunction with community partners to raise awareness of student and community safety issues. We have another big presentation planned this summer here in the Pittenger Fine Arts Center. Stop the Bleed. Stop the Bleed's part of our required training, and I mentioned it earlier, but I would like to say that one thing, an initiative we've taken is we did make a decision, kind of at the request of our school safety committee, to include Stop the Bleed kits in all of our BISD student buses and white fleet vehicles. So I am proud to announce that we have ordered 134 more kits in addition to our campus kits. And if we do get in a situation on the road where we have a bleeding incident, that we feel like our staff or students will be better prepared to handle that and hopefully give the support that's needed until EMS arrives on the scene. Grants, we had really one of the things that came about of this legislative session is the TEA is offering the School Safety and Security Grant. Basically, it's an application-based grant that if you apply, the money is already set aside for your school district. So I'm glad to inform you that we did get our application submitted on January 22nd. And there was a very specific list of things you could apply for. So we will add additional perimeter fencing. We will add a 2-way district-wide radio system that will work in the event that phone systems, cell phones, and network all go down. We'll still be able to communicate with all of our campuses and our administration. More interior locking doors across, I believe, 10 or 11 campuses that still had needs in that area. And then a shatterproof film on exterior entrances at BHS will be added as a portion of this grant as well. And finally, school safety is a large undertaking, and it's first and foremost in most of our planning and decision-making involves safety and security. So we want to thank you, and I want to thank you for your unconditional support of these programs, your valued feedback, and your help in planning us meet our student safety needs for now and in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll take any questions at this time.
I just had one question. On the safety committee meetings, you said there were 4 left?
I believe there's 4 left, but one is this Wednesday.
Correct.
So.
Oh, is there a plan moving forward for beyond that 4, or are we just meeting the requirement?
The requirement is 3 for the year, which and we're going to have 7. It looks like the only way we would probably bring back an 8th meeting would be if we need to meet one more time as part of the audit process. We think we will be far enough along to do our audit review at the last meeting in May, but we may have to do one in June if we're not ready for the audit process then.
Okay, thank you.
So 4 more meetings, which would put us 4 over the requirement by the state.
Great. Maybe you got a question? Yes.
Mike, I don't know if we talked about this in our policy committee meeting, but how far are we along with complying with the requirements of Senate Bill 11, the new stuff?
The things that we have gotten solid interpretation on, we feel pretty confident. Like the listing of the things that needed to be added to the EOP, we've done those. The things, the behavioral threat assessment steps and the required trainings and implementation, we feel really good about that. There's a few things, as we discussed in that meeting, there's a mental health component to a lot of this that still has not clearly been defined of that relationship. And so we're kind of working through that with some of the local agencies and with other school districts to see how they're approaching and attacking those requirements. So I won't say we're 100% in compliance, but the things that we know for sure that we can add and could implement, we've done so at this time.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Taggart?
On the Meals for Shields program, have we had any response to it yet? Is it still new?
We have. We've had some of it is just our on-site security at some of our events in the evenings. But we have had good participation. I don't have data on how much it's increased, but we do have good participation on our campuses for meals at the lunch times during the school day.
And two summers ago, I was in a training session when Longview ISD gave this we kind of got this idea from them, and I really do appreciate Dr. Battershell. She really, when she heard about this, when she's been here, she kicked this thing into motion. So thank you so much, because I've been excited about this. I just think the presence, for multiple reasons, is so healthy. You know, for one, the kids can have a relationship with the police and see that they're good, you know, good guys and the whole deal, and good ladies and everything. But I like this program. One other thing too that I know Longview did, I don't know if y'all thought about this, was they encouraged the police officers from all the different branches in the area, when they're doing their reports and stuff, to just come park on the campuses. Just encourage them to come and just fill out the reports on the campuses, just
That's
to
a
have
great
those
idea. Well, as we
vehicles there
continue to
too.
reach this out and encourage them to come, we can mention that as well. So that's a great idea. We should have some data by the end of the year on if we've seen a big increase or not, and how many different agencies have been in.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank y'all so
Appreciate
much.
that. Okay, so as Elizabeth is coming to the podium to get us started with recognitions, it's just, this is wonderful. I'm glad that we do what we do, because we do it so well. The very first group of folks that we're going to recognize, they're going to get some great student letter jackets. And I shared with a few, and I'll share with all of you now, a really cute story about those letter jackets over there. This is an auspicious occasion and such a proud moment. And my son was part of this. And when asked if he wanted a letter jacket, he said no. He said he had a better jacket coming. So what happened was he filled out his Christmas list, and he was waiting on a jacket that had a wolf emblem on the back. And so I got a couple of different calls from coaches who wanted to ensure that I knew he was saying no. And he unequivocally said no because he wanted to wear his wolf jacket. And I will tell you, he wears it daily. And if this is what it took to get him in a jacket at all, I'm proud. The other thing I would just want to say before you get started, just thank you to the coaches for this particular program. You all are awesome, amazing. I watch you as you coach these kiddos. These are some very special students, and just a few days ago, just watching you in Waco and all the things that you do and how you cheer them on, it's an excellent opportunity for our students to be involved in a very special way. So thank you. I'll yield the floor.
Well said, yes. So first up tonight for recognitions. In the fall of 2017, dedicated staff members in Belton ISD's Special Programs Department initiated a district team competing in Special Olympic sporting events for the first time in over 20 years. It is with the continued support of these incredible staff members, many of them who are here with us tonight, parents, and many other volunteers, that tonight the board will present the first Belton High School Special Olympics letter jackets to 10 high school students, athletes who have represented Belton ISD in at least one competition for the last 2 years. Congratulations to the following Special Olympics student athletes: Inez Aguilar, Josh Barney, Candace Brashear, Hunter Busby, Hunter Goonan, Markeith Hawkins, Michael Lunsford, Zoe Moore, Mario Ortega, and Matthew Ortega. Congratulations, students. We're so proud. Stay right there. Yay, Candace! We're all cheering because you'll have to check out Candace Brashear's jacket. It has the most bling that I've ever seen on a letter jacket. We're so proud of her. Congratulations, Candace. Good job, Hunter. Yep. Let's make sure. Okay. Think we're still taking? Congratulations, Special Olympians. We're so proud of you. Thank you for capturing that. Yeah. Okay, I think we're ready for our next group. Another special recognition for us this evening. The Leon Heights Elementary Honor Choir, under the direction of Deborah Johnson, performed at the Texas Music Educators Association Convention in San Antonio last week. An auditioned ensemble, the choir, composed of 4th and 5th grade students, rehearses weekly after school. Only one of 8 elementary schools asked to perform at the 2020 convention. The Leon Heights Honor Choir was selected to perform for the Coatley Educators of Texas after submitting an audition for the event last May. Congratulations, Leon Heights Honor Choir. Later this evening, you'll see some of our high school students that got to perform at TMEA, but pretty impressive to be one of 8 elementary schools in the state to have an elementary choir there. Congratulations. Yeah. You gonna give them their sign? Looks like 1, 2, 3. And students, keep smiling. We have a lot of proud parents here with us tonight. Keep smiling, keep smiling. Okay. I think we all got it. Congratulations, Leon Heights Honor Choir. You ready? Good job, good job, good job, good job. That's your sign. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Thank y'all for being here. Good job. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. Good job. Great job. Thank you for being here. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. We're waiting? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Our dancer is here. Yep. 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 We're ready. Jamie, we're going to skip over one and go to the dancer first. Okay. Next up, we have our Texas Dance Educators Association All-State Dancer. Belton High School senior and Belton Magic Bells captain Grace Fothergill was selected as an all-state dancer, performing with 250 dancers from across the state at the Texas Dance Educator Association Conference in January. To be selected as an all-state dancer, the student must be recognized by their team's director as being a top leader, an amazing student, and also submit a resume of extracurricular activities and dance abilities. The Magic Bells are directed by Rachel Hill, who is here with us tonight. Yay! Rachel, hop in there. Yes, okay. Congratulations, Grace. And I know our Belton Magic Bells made us really proud at their competition this weekend in McKinney. I haven't even gotten a list yet of all the awards, but congratulations. We'll see y'all again soon. We won them all. Ty, you want to come tell us? We won them all. Congratulations, Rachel, and thank you, Grace. Are you ready? Yep. Let's go. Okay. Next up, we have our Academic UIL State Congress recipients. Belton High School senior Tyler Garrett and Belton New Tech High School at Wasco senior Alexis Kerr represented Belton Academic UIL at the State Congress debate competition last month. This was the first year that Belton claimed 2 of the 3 slots for students advancing from regionals. During the 2-a-day competition in Austin, Tyler and Alexis each had the opportunity to serve as presiding officer. With us tonight, we have Tyler and their coach, Wayne Delso. Get up there, Wayne. Unfortunately, Alexis couldn't be with us. Congratulations. Good job. That's yours. Yep. Thank y'all for being here. Okay. Transitioning over into some of our CTE programs, we have our HOSA state qualifiers with us. Future Health Occupation Students of America, HOSA, students competed in an area competition last month and 4 qualified to advance to state at the Spring Leadership Conference to be held in Galveston in April. Junior Ekan Osmel advances to state after receiving first for his poster, HOSA, Today's Practice, Tomorrow's Victory, and freshman Maya Miller advances after taking first place with her Healthy Lifestyle portfolio. Advancing for online testing and healthcare issues is junior Elizabeth Bastow and senior Frida Cabrera. HOSA is sponsored by Mary Keaton and Stephanie Urian. Congratulations to these students and their sponsors. Yeah, y'all are good. Are we ready? We ready to go back? Okay, let me get my notes. Okay, and here's the group I told you about earlier, our TMEA All-State Choir students. Belton High School student vocalist Kara Fish, Gracie Krieg, Ethan Matus, Jackson Reesner, and Rachel Schiller were selected as members of the Texas All-State Choirs. Kara, a senior, was a part of the All-State Mixed Choir for a record 3rd year in a row. Congratulations, Kara. Gracie, a senior, and Rachel, a junior, both performed with the All-State Treble Choirs this past week. Ethan, a junior, and Jackson, a sophomore, were both a part of the tenor bass choir. All 5 performed with the best singers in the state and worked with world-renowned clinicians throughout the TMEA convention in San Antonio last week. Their directors are here with us and should hop in the photos as well. Tanya Lavore and Travis Campbell. You also might recognize some of these faces from our incredible musical. Congratulations, students. We're proud. Emma. For Rotary. Okay. So what do you want to do? Yeah, so are we just going to accept it? Okay, great. Shoot. I don't have it. Hey, Ben. I need the Rotary thing. I have them on my printout. Connie, let me go tell her really quick. Congratulations. So now we're back to Business Professionals of America. Business Professionals of America BPA students competed at the regional competition last month, and 7 qualified to advance to state competition in Dallas in March. The team of seniors, Tyler Garrett, Cabell Utley, and Cage Dunn, will compete in economic research. Mr. Utley and Cage Dunn also qualified in the individual events of payroll accounting and business law and ethics. Junior Carrie Ann Hosch will compete in advanced spreadsheet applications, and senior Jackie Stokes in presentation management. Senior Alvin Packard will compete in advanced accounting, and senior Chloe Aparico in fundamental accounting. BPA is sponsored by Amanda Simpson. Congratulations, students. We're so proud of you. Good luck at state. Still have a few proud parents. Got everything? Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Simpson. Congratulations. Okay. Transitioning over to our teacher recognitions. Caitlin Johnson is being recognized by the Belton Rotary Club for her outstanding service to Belton ISD. Caitlin serves as a life skills teacher at Belton High School. She is in her 5th year in education, all with Belton ISD. Ms. Johnson serves students in a special education classroom designed to provide individualized instruction to students. She captures her students' heart and engages them in the learning process. Outside the classroom, Caitlin is the first to volunteer for extracurricular events, such as Paint Your Spot Night, and the last to leave when she sees help is still needed. Amber Loubier, assistant principal at Belton High School, stated, "Ms. Johnson is rarely found without a smile and a positive word. She works hard and she is changing lives and life skills. The patience and dedication she demonstrates for kids is truly admirable." Thank you, Caitlin Johnson. We appreciate you. And Amber and Ben, you want to hop in that photo? Yep. And while this group's up here, unfortunately, our next Temple Rotary Educator of the Month, I heard, is ill, so she is not able to join us tonight. I would like to go ahead and at least read a little portion of about her and honor her. She did get to go to the Temple Rotary meeting with Mrs. Loubier and Dr. Battershell last week. So our Rotary Educator of the Month for Temple, Emma Ziegler, was recognized for her outstanding service in Belton ISD. She serves as an English teacher at Belton High School. She was in her 5th year in education and 2nd year with Belton ISD. Mrs. Loubier said about her that she has led the English department in advancing and incorporating new and innovative technology in the classroom. She has found engaging and unique ways to incorporate digital breakouts, interactive modules, and the assimilation of several platforms that bring learning English into the digital age. So congratulations to Mrs. Ziegler. Next up, we have our Big Red Community Partner of the Month, our ESC Region 12 Counseling Services. And as Jenny makes her way down here, you've already heard a little bit about them tonight from Mike, but addressing and providing necessary support for students as they experience tragedy and loss is something the dedicated school counselors in Belton ISD do with great skill and compassion. When an entire campus is impacted directly by a loss, as several of our campuses have been this school year, our counselors and district administrators are able to respond on a larger scale with informed professional support from the ESC Region 12 Counseling Service Team and Miss Jenny right here. Beyond their crisis response support, Counseling Services offers professional development and informational legislative updates for school counselors and other district employees. Last month, Belton ISD partnered with ESC Region 12 Counseling Services to deliver 3 full days of invaluable Senate Bill 11 threat assessment and mass reunification training to over 100 district and campus staff members, including some of our SROs back there with us. In recognition of their invaluable support of Belton ISD staff and students, ESC Region 12 Counseling Services is this month's Big Red Community Partner. Accepting this recognition will be the leader of those trainings, Jennifer Janik. Thank you, Jenny, for all you do. Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Dr. I think we have some additional ESC staff with us tonight. I think I saw Mr. Mays here. Is that correct? Yes, Jerry Mays. Mr. Mays, if you'd like to stand and give a wave. And Stephanie's also here with her. And Dr. Tom Norris, who's no stranger to any of us here in Belton ISD. Dr. Norris, thank you for being here too. Okay. And now, since she's pointing at us to honor other people, it's time to honor Dr. Battershell. Since August 2019, Belton ISD students, staff, and taxpayers have benefited greatly from the experienced leadership of Dr. Robin Battershell. Having served as a Central Texas superintendent for 2 decades before she joined us, along with extensive community service leadership, Dr. Battershell was able to step into the role of interim superintendent and guide the district through this exciting time of continued growth and transition. For her commitment to education and valuable service to our community, the Belton ISD Board of Trustees would like to honor Dr. Battershell, and they've done this themselves, Dr. Battershell, so I'm going to step away from the podium and hand it over to Janet. I say she needs some bling too, I think. She needs some bling.
So when we started this process of looking for an interim, I can tell you, our eyes were this big because there's been a lot of firsts for this board. But our pledge to each other and our pledge to this community and all the families that we serve was that we were going to do everything with care, with extreme amounts of thoughtfulness, and ask a lot of questions and make sure that it was a very deliberate decision that was beneficial to everybody. And so what we did was we entered into a time of trying to decide on a candidate for interim. And at that time, I knew Dr. Battershell the best of anybody on the board because of some community involvement endeavors that we're a part of together. And I told the board that if we go with Robin Battershell, we will have chosen a person who has a vast amount of experience, comes with a lot of respect in the community, and will help us as we grow into the Temple city limits with our schools and continue that era of our time here, that she would have a wealth of knowledge to offer with her experience in Temple. And what we ended up getting, we had high hopes, but what we ended up getting was so much more than that. We could not even leave this room after that decision before we had texts and phone calls, and the next day everybody we would pass saying, "You guys did a great job, you made an excellent choice, you could not have chosen better." And so that was one of our firsts that we knew we had done quite well. And what we have done here for you, Dr. Battershell, is we have each written you our own personal letter. And we didn't want to just sign our names to a card, because what you've done for us has really prepared us for the next era of BISD. And what you are is a person who leads with grace and integrity, and you respect people, and you have empowered us to make good decisions for the future. And so not only is there a letter in here from each and every one of us with our personal thoughts to you, but there's also a nice little gift to you and your husband, who we would also like to thank for sharing you with us during this time. It has been our honor and a privilege to serve with you, and thank you so much for helping us out.
As you all know, I write a lot of notes, and so honestly, to get notes, that's the best gift of all. Thank you very, 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 truly, very much.
We had some delays, and they were delays that were well worth it, because we had some extra special students here tonight that needed to be recognized. My heart is full right now. This is a perfect opportunity for us to transition over to the next two presentations that we're all extremely happy about, and that is the discussion of contract and relocation agreements. So I'm going to start with the first part about the contract for Dr. Smith. Before we get too far in the weeds on that, I just want to remind us of some things. After Dr. Kincannon left, then Dr. Battershell graciously accepted our invitation to be our interim for the last 6 months. Thank you again for that. We hired search firms. We ended up with Thompson and Horton in October, and then there was a national as well as a local search. We had a very diversified pool of candidates. There was 43. Out of that 43, we narrowed our pool down to 6. And out of that 6, one rose to the top, and that is in the person of Dr. Matthew Smith. We are so honored and pleased to have met him, so honored and pleased to look to the future with him. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve his contract as outlined and written. There is a motion from Mr. Taggart. Is there a second? Mr. Norwood, all in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. The other piece to that, and we were told that this is common, is that when you're going to relocate someone here is to talk about the relocation expenses and moving. There's an agreement out here. It's for a one-time occurrence. It's not part of the contract. And I would ask for a motion to approve that as outlined. There is a motion by Dr. Montgomery. Is there a second? Mr. Alcozer, all in favor, please raise your hand. Now, before we all jump up and hoop and holler because we're so excited, you know, this has been an emotional time for this community. We love Dr. Kincannon. We were sad to see her leave. We're excited, though, that she got to move on to her next opportunity. We're excited that Dr. Battershall stepped up and stepped in and just continued us on this path that we're on. And we're really excited to have Dr. Smith continue that journey. I said in the beginning of this, and this is probably kind of a weird saying to say, but our house is not on fire. It's still not on fire. We are in a good place, and we're so excited to have Dr. Smith just be at the helm to continue the journey. So, Dr. Smith, at this time, if you'd like to come forward and introduce your family, and you know we're coming down to take pictures because that's what we do.
President McDonald, members of the board, and Dr. Battershall, I want to say just a couple of quick things. There are 2 words that come to mind tonight. First of all, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the experiences, the leaders, the teachers, the students, the staff that I've been associated with in Leander ISD and in other previous districts. My experiences with them made me a better person, a better educator, and prepared me to take this wonderful journey with you all in Belton ISD. And so I'm extremely thankful and grateful for their work. I'm also thankful for the support of my family, my wife Heather, my daughters Haley and Summer. My in-laws are here. My parents are in another state, but assured me that they're going to watch this eventually. And without family support, you all know that we cannot do our jobs, and so I'm extremely thankful for the family support. And I'm also thankful for the support of the staff. In the past 21 days, I've gotten to know the staff here in Belton ISD, in the Administrative Center, Dr. Battershall, some of the staff that's sitting behind you here tonight, and they have been more than welcoming and gracious with their time and their effort over the past 21 days and just allowing me to get to know Belton ISD and the community that we serve in both Belton and Temple and other areas. And so I'm extremely thankful for them. I'm excited for the opportunity. I feel a little disconnected because I haven't had an opportunity to sit down with the teachers yet. And we all know that the teachers are the lifeblood of the school district, and we need to sit down and listen and learn from them. And I can't wait to get started. And finally, I'm thankful for these recognitions tonight of our students because that is what we're all here for. So as a board and President McDonald, I want to thank you also for your gracious, kind words and for your faith in me as a leader, and I can't wait to get started as we continue on this journey together. Thank you.
Okay, so in case any of you all are wondering, Dr. Smith will be at the helm on Monday, the 24th. That's when his contract starts. He will be hard at work at 7:15 on Monday morning. He'll be at Southwest Elementary School greeting parents and kiddos. 7:10, greeting parents and kiddos on Monday, February the 24th. So we're excited. Okay, so Dr. Lovesmith, so glad you're still here. If you will come and talk to us about standards-based grading for pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade.
I would love to talk to you about standards-based grading. So first of all, why am I here? So I don't just want to sign up to talk about grading ever, because board policy puts that in the hands of teachers, and it is their responsibilities as professionals in the classroom to determine grading. But this came from a conversation from our teachers. Last year, when we adopted our elementary reading curriculum, there was a request by teachers to talk about standards-based grading and to have a better tool for communicating developmental processes of early learning at kindergarten and first grade, which is very different from when you get to be in middle school or high school. And then also to really find a way to identify progress skills associated with those early reading that really aren't accurately represented in a numerical grade. And so let me show you what I'm talking about. Here are two grading systems. So on the right, you will see our current grading system. It's skyward at the top, and you'll see these are the grades for Austin. He is an elementary student at Sparta. Don't worry, we have permission to show his grades. I'm giving it right now. And as an early learner, when he was in kindergarten, first grade, you would see that he has a 96 in math, and you'd think he's outstanding. He's a really top student. Or he has a 93 in reading. But what happens at the early grades is that those grades are really hard to communicate to a parent how he's actually doing and how I can support him at home. And it's a struggle for teachers to really show all the skills. On the left-hand side, you will see what a standards-based grade might look like for Austin. So rather than just showing a total numerical, so this is an example for math. Rather than showing that he has a 96 in math, you would show the specific standards that they're working on. And so you would have your 4 grading periods. This example has an N1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you would see the standards with that. So for instance, can he count by 2s, 5s, and 10s up to 120? And so this lets a parent know exactly the skills that are needed to be mastered. Now, this is just an example. It's not one that we would implement exactly. For this district, they chose to use 4 measures. Either it's not assessed, which is one we would want to look at, a MET standard, insufficient progress, or approaching the standard. I would expect that as we go through this process, we'll use some different language. Rather than telling a parent your child is insufficient, I think language more like developing, still learning the skill, or what we want to communicate. We don't expect all kids to get there right in that first grading period, but we do want to show their progress over time. With a standards-based grading, the goal is to communicate growth. It's to focus on your standards or your TEKS, to allow teachers to provide some comment and to just give a more detailed information on their progress. It is a common rubric. So unlike other grade books where teachers are determining individually or maybe by campus what they're using as a grade, this would standardize it across the district, and it would focus on mastery of learning. For me as a parent, it's going to let me know, what can my child do? What are some next steps I need to take with them, and how can I support them at home? I can help my child count by 2s, count by 5s, count by 10s. So it really is, the goal is to empower parents. So how are we going to get there? So our plan, like I said, this was teacher requested. And because it is standardized across the district, our plan is to gather representatives from K through first grade from each campus. So we would have one kinder and one first grade teacher from all of our elementaries. We would begin on March 19th, our discussions for the why. Why are we moving to this? And then we would start to review standards that are out there. We would do that for April 2nd, April 16th, and we really hope that we have a final product by April 30th. Because our teachers are pretty motivated this and standards are out there, we've actually got some great examples from some area districts, Round Rock, Georgetown. They're all using this approach. We feel like we can get there. We would go to May if we needed to. Some other things we'll have to consider. We currently have grading in place at our Beck Center, so to really kind of look at what they're doing and then how that might compare to KN1, and then to review programs that support standards-based reporting. And the great thing about that last bullet is since I developed this presentation and submitted it to you, I'll give some props to Rachel Starnes. She reached out, and we actually can use Skyward. So that's huge for us. That is what Georgetown is doing, and so it keeps our parents in a system they're already working in. We don't have the expense of buying a new system, and it's a system our teachers are familiar with. So just with some minor tweaks, we feel like we can use that program already in place, and that's pretty huge. And so this is our goal. This is to begin this work to really, I always like to put the faces of our users there, because we want to give this feedback to our parents for our earliest learners. Questions?
Questions, comments?
Comments? Yes.
I think it's great, right? So why K through 1? Like, why stop at 1? Is there something magical about that, or is that just like first phase of implementation? Or?
So it's first phase. It is easier starting at second and third grade to identify authentic grading. The request came out of KN1. I will tell you, I am so passionate about this work, and our teachers are, like, I've already done all the feelers, right? So our principals are excited. They can't wait. Our teachers are excited. I feel like after we get through this phase, we will come back with some other options to extend it on, because I think our teachers at the elementary specifically struggle with letting parents really know where their child's at. It's a little easier once you get to middle school and high school.
Okay.
I just want to say I am so proud of you. I am so proud of your department. Principals are back there just beaming from ear to ear. I mean,
They better be.
no, just kidding. This is really groundbreaking. So I
It's
look
big for
forward
us.
to watching the school district, because I think this really changes children's lives and allows parents to be a more of an intricate part of their educational process.
So I'm coming tonight with the experience as a parent as well, and that lens on me and what would have benefited my child, but all Belton, and I think it's the right direction. I'm excited for us to do this. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Looking over this and reading the report and figuring all that, one of the things it kind of reminds me of, and I'll show my age, is when I had report cards as a kid, especially at that age, and please don't misquote this because I don't need a bunch of elementary school teachers coming after me, but they were handwritten report cards, and you had your number grade, but then the teachers would write in the comment section, he talks too much, he does this, but they would also say, hey, he needs work on these items. And it did help. I mean, and you're right, because if your kid is you see these great grades, you're like, they're great, then they hit second and third grade, and you're like, well, he always made A's, well, what's the problem now? So,
Exactly.
I think it'll be a little, hopefully not more work, but certainly beneficial to the parents that are looking at it, trying to figure out what it means.
I really think it'll be a game changer for communication with our parents at early levels. I truly believe that. And yes, we did look at some report cards of some of us that are older, and we also found those comments about maybe talking too much or not raising your hand when you should, or some other things that might be out there.
I don't think you all heard that. Janet said probably all of us except for Dr. Montgomery. I clearly did not have those comments.
Me neither.
Clearly. Thank you, Dr. Levison.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank you
that.
all.
And so the final item on our agenda is just issues, concerns for future agenda or administrative reports. Does the board have any requests? No? Fighting over there? Down here? No? One of the things you have provided, and thank you, Connie, and whoever else puts together this nice list and highlights it for us and sends us electronic meeting invites. There's just no way we can ever forget anything, or we shouldn't. But we've got some good things going down. Tomorrow there's a admin potluck lunch at noon. Then we have the Facilities Committee. You've already heard about that. Their next meeting is happening on Wednesday. The admit night at boys soccer at Wilson Kersey Field, I traditionally have always gone to that. I'd love to see us all attend that. It's cold, but it's fun. You go out, they introduce you. The soccer team usually gives some wonderful little gift or whatever, but I sure would like for my brothers and sisters in arms to join me on that night. So dress warm. It'll be fun. Okay, it's alrighty then. And so then we have superintendent scholars, and then there's the list of other things there. And then our next regular board meeting will be March the 23rd. If there's nothing further, 6:36, we stand adjourned.